Everyone. Welcome to our February 8th edition of our AppMaker office hours. My name is Christian Schalk, and I'm joined with some of our engineers here from the AppMaker team. And today, what we're going to be doing is providing essentially a set of updates for you. So I'm going to walk through the Cloud SQL settings that are fairly new and give you some information on how to go about updating your Drive Tables applications over to Cloud SQL. We also have a fairly new feature that we'll also step into a little bit more closely. That's the Popups feature. And so we'll be just walking through that and doing some demos. And then we'll also show off some of the new samples that are in development. So one of them is the email PDF, and we might even have a few more that we can show you. And then finally, we have a partner update. So we have James Ferreira from Ignite Synergy or AppMaker University. And we might have some other partners joining online with us to give a little bit of little assessment on where they see things. And then we'll open it up just for general Q&A. We'll be using the live stream chat window for some questions. And so yeah, we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so first of all, let me just step into some of our updates. We'll start with the Cloud SQL. So as many of you are aware, we have this new default Cloud SQL setting. This is actually a domain setting. So you would actually need your domain admin to go through and set that up for you. So I can explain a little bit how it works, but it's fairly straightforward. Any domain admin who's already set up your AppMaker instance for your domain would also be able to then specify a specific Cloud SQL instance that then could be made useful for all the folks in your domain. And so, yeah, that pretty much simplifies the actual usage of AppMaker once you get the Cloud SQL set up. Also, if folks have their own existing Cloud SQL instances, or they want to just use their own separate from like a domain-wide instance, they can totally do that. It's on an app-by-app basis, but they can specify what particular instance they want to use for their app. Okay. Another important point about Cloud SQL is that, if you're coming from Drive Tables, you'll want to essentially migrate your data. First off, this is actually a lot easier than it might sound, because we actually provide in the product a one-click migration utility, and that's available in the app settings, and you'll see it as upgrade to Google Cloud SQL. So that's pretty straightforward. There's really not really any mystery to it. Once you click on that, it will go through and transfer all your data from Drive Tables over to Cloud SQL. One thing that I found, and I think other folks might also find it useful, is to utilize the export feature. So for example, if you have like your data, you just want to have kind of like an extra sanity check on the data, you can go to, and this is done on a deployment basis, where you can click the export feature, and then you can select either specific models, or you can export your entire set of data models plus their relationships, and that will be saved off into a Google Sheet. And so that's actually pretty good to do if you just want to do like kind of a final sanity check, where you do an export of your data, you migrate over, and then you can do a post-migration export, and then you can compare, make sure all the data lines up correctly. All right. So before I move on to Cloud or the pop-ups, let me just switch over to the environment here and give you a quick walkthrough of what we're looking at. So first off, as you can see in the demo here, you'll see an actual message that says, "Hey, Google Cloud SQL is set up for your domain. Please go ahead and migrate your apps." Now, this is actually after your domain admin has set this up, and there is guidance on how to do that. But we can also make sure to send that out to the forum as well, so you're aware of it. But basically, once your domain is up and running and has a single cloud instance, you can take your existing Drive Tables apps and then essentially migrate them pretty easily. So in this case, I can go over into the settings, and I'll scroll down to the bottom, and there's the upgrade to Google Cloud SQL. But as I mentioned, if I have any deployments, I may want to do an export. And so this actually comes in handy. So I can click on the export data, and then I can just say I want to export all the relationships and model data. So I can click on that, and that will go through and do a fresh export, and it sends it off to a Google Sheet. And I could even go to the sheet directly. And in this case, I just had had two records. So just to kind of recap a little bit, I have this Drive Tables app that I was going to walk through how to actually migrate over to Cloud SQL. And if you recall, there is this button here at the bottom where I can click on the Upgrade to Cloud SQL. But before I do that, I actually went to my revisions page and I added this tag for Drive Tables just so I can keep track of it. All right, so pretty straightforward. So let me go ahead and click on Upgrade to Google Cloud SQL just to kind of give you an idea. And because I've done this before, I get a little extra warning there, but don't worry about that. So I'm just going to kind of give you a feel for what it's like. All right, so basically the application now shows up as a SQL model on the top left there. And then if you want, I can also show you the rest of the apps, rest of the settings. And there is my new Cloud SQL version. I can even tag it if I wanted to. Now, if I happen to have an issue, I could always use this Revert feature right here in the revisions. And so I could then essentially go back to my Drive Tables. Also, just so you know, I could go back to my deployments and hit export data again. And that will allow me to just do like a quick sanity check post the conversion there as well. So pretty straightforward. Just to kind of give you a feel for what it's like, let me do a revert back to Drive Tables. And this will switch me back to Drive Tables. So in case you suddenly want to kind of go back, you can kind of just give yourself a quick and easy way to go back to Drive Tables in case you want to check things. Okay, and notice down here at the bottom there is an upgrade to Cloud SQL at the message. All right, cool. So let me move on. If you guys see any questions we might want to handle about Cloud SQL really quickly in the live stream. Or since we lost a little bit of time, we probably want to keep things moving. Well, we'll do a Q&A at the end, so no worries. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and move on. And again, apologies for the hiccup on the technology. Sometimes you can't predict those things. Alrighty. So what I've done here is I have just kind of like a simple kind of a test app where we're playing around with the different pop-ups. And what I've done initially is I just set some buttons here to give me a chance to like pop up some new pop-ups. And so let me just click preview just so you can kind of get a feel for the different pop-ups, see how they work. All right, so just to kind of walk through these were built in like literally like just within like 3 minutes or so. So right now, if there's an empty pop-up, if you want really any kind of customizable pop-up, you can just use that. There's a built-in navigation menu, and with the way it works is that when you create a navigation menu, it will scan your application's set of pages and provide you links so that you can actually navigate to those pages. All right, and pretty straightforward. Confirmation, so if I want to actually complete an action or cancel, there's a little bit of code in there that allows you to proceed on. And pretty much you get the whole picture here. There's some fun stuff that you can do when you set these up as well that I'll show you in a second. So here's the typical loading indicator. And then finally, a snack bar. And so let me show you how these are built. It's pretty straightforward. So right now I have some pre-built ones, so let's go ahead and have some fun and try some new ones here. So for this one, let's make the on-click to open or show the pop-up. And from here, we can show any one of these that already exists. So in this case, I could just have it open the empty pop-up. And so pretty straightforward from how to access it. Now, if I want to build one, that's where I would go here and click a page. And then I select this new option here for pop-ups. And then here's all the different ones I could do. So for this one, maybe I'll do a confirmation dialog for now. And I'll show you how to customize it as well. So confirmation dialog. So first of all, what you see is kind of like the overall, the UI. Also, you are focused on the outer parent widget, which in this case, it's like has like some settings. So notice here that it has glass settings, which is part of the, all of the pop-ups tend to have like these similar settings. Like maybe if I wanted to close whenever I click outside window or hit escape, I can set all those very easily there. Likewise, for the actual pop-up itself, I could do whatever I want. I can customize, the text here. And then this is actually the important one. But the pop-up actually, in this case, and most of the other pop-ups do the same thing, that it actually generates a little bit of code that you can then go in and customize. So this generated code, I'm just going to open this up here, and then maybe change something here or whatever. So I could say console.log So now when I run this, you'll be able to see this. So this is confirmation dialog number 1. So I'll go back to my page and let's see, conf 1, and then I want to show the pop-up, and then I want it to show confirmation dialog number 1. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward stuff. I won't go through every one of these, but I can definitely share this simple example, or you can kind of get the idea and play around with it as well. All right, so if I click on cancel, it's not going to execute the code. Or if I click on conf dialog 1 again, complete the action, there we go. I can see in the console down there that it actually did something. All right, so maybe before finishing, let me show you a little bit of like some of the fun stuff, like for example, animations. So in this case, if I go to the snack bar, the actual animation or the pop-up itself, you can see down here, and this is true for the other pop-ups as well, that I can actually set like, different types of animations now. So I've just changed this snack bar notification to actually, come from the top, okay? So I'll click preview again, go back to the main page. All right, I'll just show the thing. And as you notice, it might be a little bit hard to see over the live stream, but basically it's animating in from the top there. Okay. So did you have anything else, Colin, that you might want to touch on, or any final points?
Not too much to say. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
So there's a couple things we're going to add to this as well. I know a lot of people want like relative positioning, and that's something we currently don't have. Currently, it's just positioned on top of everything else. And you can use the spacing inspector on the inspectors on the right side to change like its positioning with margin. But other than that, there's no relative positioning, and so that's a goal to add that in. I think that's all I have to say, really.
Okay, cool. Yeah, feel free to try it out and feel free to let us know if you see some issues. There was one issue with regards to the Z order, I think, and that was something that, sorry to put you on the spot, yeah. But I think that's something that we're looking into with regards to make it a little bit, so you can specify that as well. But cool. All right, I think we're done for this section. I think next up we have on our agenda, oops, sorry, that's crazy. Next up, we wanted to get into, well, so I pretty much discussed all the pop-up stuff. We do have Pavel here, so feel free to describe a little bit of what you were going to show. I think we had you down for showing off like the email PDF attachment sample that you're working on, as well as maybe one or two other ones as well. So I'll go ahead and let you present.
So can you see right screen?
So yeah, we just have to wait a little bit until we get the live stream to show Pavel's screen in a second here.
Let's wait. So while it's loading, and let me present myself. I'm Pavel, and I'm working on samples and templates for Maker. And today I'll try to show you two samples, email PDF and URL shortener.
So
looks like we're not quite there yet with our live
stream. It doesn't seem to be sharing.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm sharing. Are you? Yep, I'm sharing.
We might have to do a toggle.
Sharing is just, yeah, it's not switching over.
Try to stop sharing and then reshare again, perhaps. So like you can either cancel or you can toggle that button there. Sorry for the technical issues.
Oh yeah. I thought I was
I think you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so let's start with the ML PDF sample. This sample shows how you can send some records from your database by mail as PDF attachment. So let's start first from the demo. It looks super simple, just a form with button. You click the button and some magic happens. So thinking unicorns, do some magic behind the scenes, and you see a snack bar with a notification that email was sent. And if we go and check our inbox, we'll see a mail and just a link to the PDF. And we can open it from our inbox. So you can see it contains exactly the same data as in your database. So we can open it from the email, or we can open it from our drive. So what happens behind the scenes? First things first, where we take this data from. So on Upstart, we generate some sample data. So it's not very important for this sample, but it makes your life easier. So when you're just trying things first time, then when the user clicks send email with PDF, your client makes a server call to the server and server. So it's just a basic call using Google Script Run. So it goes to the server and all the magic happens there. First, it creates a Google document with all information you need to send. It uses the Docs API that's available out of the box with AppMaker, and it also uses server-side model metadata. So you see it uses server-side metadata, and it means that if you decide to go and change some information about your fields, it will be reflected immediately both in your exported data and on your UI. So your UI will be updated and your exported document format also will be updated. Okay, we touched Docs API and server-side metadata. Then using Drive API, we convert these Google Docs to PDF, and we make hard delete it with advanced Drive API. So because we don't want to store this temporary document in your Drive. And after that, we are using email API to send email itself, and we add this link to the PDF as content of this email. So this example organizes multiple examples that we already have and builds a real-life workflow when you need to share some information and, for instance, download it to the real world and then put your signature on this document and share with your colleagues or whatever, sent by mail, not email, but mail. So old school paper mail. So that's mostly it about this sample, just a fusion of lots of different APIs, and showcases the power of AppMaker, because you can easily touch lots of different services in a very concentrated amount. So if you have some questions about this sample, feel free to ask so by commenting to this stream. And next, I'll go to.
So really quickly before finishing up,
Sure.
roughly, do you know when we expect to get that into the production?
I think it will go to prod with next prod release. So
Okay. So relatively soon.
maybe you guys know where which next time to prod.
Well, it's hard to say.
It's expected this week.
Yeah, so maybe it will go on prod this week.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, so let's smoothly transition to URL shortener. So there is a URL shortener API provided by AppScript, and this sample shows how you can use it. Basically, it just shows all your shortened links, and it allows you to shorten some link and just add it to the list.
So I'm watching the live stream as well, and so I've noticed it was we spent a little bit of time on the slide, and so if you wanted to talk to some of those points on the slide there for the URL shortener.
Sure.
Quickly.
So I just demoed it, and now I'll go
Yeah.
under the
Oh
hood.
yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does it work? Out of the box, you have this URL shortener API on the server side, and using this API, you can feed data to calculated model. Just mapping between your so between the data that actually lives somewhere in the database of URL shortener API, and it maps to AppMaker model to make it possible to create bindings. So as you can see, it's actually binded to Maker model. So with simple server call to your shortener API and mapping, we can create a front end from third-party API, and with a simple server call to the same API, we can perform basic CRUD operations. So create, update, delete. So this sample showcases how to use calculated models, how to make server calls, and how to integrate with third-party APIs. So it's simple but yet very powerful, because you can build front ends using AppMaker for any kind of APIs.
Cool. And do you know if it's slated to go in the next
Yeah,
batch?
so those two samples should appear on prod, so with next AppMaker release.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Any other things you wanted to kind of call out here on the product side? So we touched on Cloud SQL. We have Vessel here joining us. Feel free to chime in. And then, of course, we did a little bit of discussion on the pop-ups and some of the upcoming samples. And yeah, if there's any other questions coming in from the live stream, we could do it now, or just kind of wait till the end to do a final Q&A.
Hey, Chris, there was one question on the has the sheet name character length limitation been addressed when doing a full relation export from AppMaker to drive tables?
It's a good question. I don't know unless any of the guys in the room here know if that issue has been addressed. Yeah, looks like it. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is addressed. So we're trimming in some way the name of the sheet. So pretty much any relation name.
Okay. And that's something that's okay. So short answer is yes, been addressed, and it will be available soon. The fix. Cool. All right, I guess we could probably move on. So we do have some partners also on the Hangout with us. So James, you want to go ahead and kind of give yourself a quick intro, and then I believe you had some updates from AppMaker University. Unless we lost James. Yeah, I heard a click.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, I just handed it over to you. We had a placeholder for just partner updates.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, for some reason the mic jumped out there for a second. But hey, so James Ferreira from AppMaker University. You guys, if you've seen us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, by the way. But we've been producing a whole bunch of videos just to talk about all this kind of stuff and tell you how AppMaker works. And we're hoping it's helping a lot of people out just by looking through the examples and seeing the different things. A couple things I wanted to call out was we got a new template store that we put up at appmakeruniversity.com. That the idea is that we can get people are going to do the same kinds of things, and so maybe just using a template, and it's so easy to use a template in AppMaker. You just import it and just go to work on it. We thought it'd be great if other developers could contribute to the AppMaker ecosystem, and so we made a place where developers can upload their templates and to the template store, and then that way the community can just continue to grow. And so it's just part of what we're providing to make AppMaker bigger and better than it is. It's already such an amazing product. A couple other things I wanted to talk about that I'm working on right now is we're doing some quite a bit of OAuth stuff, because it turns out that not everything is in AppMaker. So a lot of the businesses we're working with want to do things like integrate Slack and Asana and some of those other productivity tools they're using. And so we're writing a lot of OAuth integrations. And so we've got templates coming out that you'll just be able to fire up the template, put in your OAuth credentials, and then be able to start using it right away. So we've got one coming out for Slack and another one coming out for Asana, and we think that'll probably cover a pretty good chunk of the market. And it gives you a really good working example of how to do OAuth. So once you've done it for one app, you can pretty much do it for just about everything. So those are going to be coming out. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channel for that, for those to come out pretty soon here. I also wanted to call out, I invited Andrew from Amplified IT to give us a little bit of a idea of what they're doing over there in New York and with the school systems and things like that. So Andrew, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. So we've been lucky enough to develop a relationship with AppMaker University. And this is our first kind of boot camp experience. And we're actually a reseller for AppMaker University courses, and we're kind of tacking on custom development assistance for school districts. So Amplified IT is a products and services company totally focused on supporting G Suite in the K-12 space, mostly in the U.S. So we work for about 4,000 different school districts in North America, and we see AppMaker as having quite a bit of potential for helping school districts automate everything from front office to back office kinds of workflows and processes. We see a lot of use of, or I should say, abuse of Google Forms and spreadsheets out there in the ecosystem, and we see this product as having a lot of potential to kind of step in and either replace or supplement a lot of the amazing systems work schools are doing in G Suite. Specifically, one of our first big projects is with the New York City Department of Education. So Mayor de Blasio in New York has a pre-K initiative, Pre-K for All, and they've opened up over 700 new pre-K sites in the last 4 years. And the team that supports those actually needs a site inspection and goal setting and basically quality monitoring system for all of these pre-K locations across the city. And they've been stringing together Google Forms to do this, believe it or not. And they've broken Google Forms multiple times in the process. And so the team there that sits on that, the data team, is really pioneering the use of AppMaker in the public sector. And they're really savvy group of folks. And we sit with James once a week in AppMaker University bootcamp classes with them. And we're going to be picking up any of the custom scripting needs that team has. So really excited to see where that's going. It's a super high impact and really poignant use case. We'll leave it there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for providing that update. Some of that stuff I hadn't actually heard myself, so it's really great that you provided it. And so yeah, definitely looking forward to hearing more about some of the stuff you mentioned. Cool. So anything else you wanted to cover from a partner perspective?
Yeah, I think one of the things we've been.
No, just, we're sorry, super excited.
I jumped in.
Where everything's going. Or are we talking at the same time?
We were all. Go for it.
Yeah, no, just that we're really excited for full launch date for AppMaker to come into GA. We're seeing just so much interest. We were looking at some of our graphs from our YouTube channel, and just after the first of the year, from where I guess we can't really call it a baseline because it's always going up, but from where we were at the end of last year to where we are now is almost doubled in the amount of participation from the YouTube channel. So we know that people are getting excited about AppMaker, and that's exciting for us to see that the product will soon be launched fully out into the market, and sooner the better for that. We know there's a lot of companies holding back, waiting for it to come out of beta. So we know you probably can't give us any updates on that yet, Christian, but we know.
Yeah, just to kind of address that a little bit. Yeah, so what I can say is that it's coming soon. I can't give out a specific date just yet, but as you could probably guess, we're doing a good amount of some preparations to get everything ready. Obviously, one of the big things that we wanted to make sure was settled was the ease and use of the whole Cloud SQL story, and that's definitely one of the most critical features within AppMaker. But yeah, what I can say is it's definitely, stay tuned. We are expecting to go GA fairly soon. But we'll definitely put out more information when that becomes available. Cool. I guess since we kind of morphed into general Q&A, feel free to ask any final questions, and take advantage of the fact that we do have a good chunk of our AppMaker engineering team here joining us. So if you have any final questions, we can definitely take them on.
Can I ask a question live?
Sure.
As for the vision for templates, there are other ecosystems where templates can be monetized, and there are some questions from our side as a partner around kind of what your vision is for templates. Are templates always to be understood as something that's an open ecosystem, or is that potentially going to evolve?
So at a high level, yeah, I mean, these things are still being worked out, so we haven't set forth a public policy on that. But so I wouldn't say, I wouldn't put a line in the ground, draw a line and say, no, these will always be completely free or whatever. But I can say that these discussions are happening right now with regards to allowing customers, partners, essentially anyone to go out and share their existing work in a variety of fashions. I don't know. So not too much, not too much on specifics just yet. But yeah, I think that's something that you can definitely look forward to getting some more, guidance from us as things start to kind of get nailed down a little bit more closely.
Great, thanks.
It's a great question, Andrew. And AppMaker University Template Store does allow the developer to monetize their template if they want to. So we have a bunch of free ones out there, but there's also a few partners that have joined in that have started uploading their templates for sale. Then they're amazing templates. They're really detailed, and they just install so easily. So the developer should get paid for the hard work they're doing. But it's definitely an option at AppMaker University.
Yeah. And I should also, make sure everyone is very clear that AppMaker University and some of our partners, they're definitely third party. They're not necessarily part of Google per se. So, but no, we totally appreciate all of the complimentary work and overall enthusiasm that our partners are bringing. So yeah. Yeah, just stay tuned as we continue to kind of refine a lot of that stuff so that it'll become a little bit even more kind of streamlined within our overall Google ecosystem. So yeah. Cool. Any other final questions? Otherwise, we could probably.
Yeah, we got one that just came in on the live stream. So does AppMaker show its current version anywhere in the interface so we can determine when a version changes?
And by reversion change, are you referring to for example, a tagged revision perhaps, or a version of AppMaker itself? I think it's the latter.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't say anything else here, but I'm thinking maybe from a UI perspective, like a user perspective.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if you have any context on that.
We do not show the version currently, but we can consider. We
Yeah.
will consider exposing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a reasonable request.
For sure.
If that can also be, if feel free to log this as a customer issue, and we can use that to also make sure that there's a bug log for that. But yeah.
Currently, you can check the release notes, and we usually keep them updated. So the last release note you see, this is the last update we provided, and there is a list of features we added or changed.
Right. Okay. Cool.
A couple other questions here. They're kind of coming in like crazy now, Chris. I think they're like, this is the last chance. Like, I better ask these. So one of the other ones that was asked just a few minutes ago was any future plan to allow us to publish an app to our private marketplace so that, one, the app is visible from Google Apps. I'm assuming that's the launcher. And then two, whitelist an app so users don't have to provide permissions at first run.
Okay, so let's tackle there's a couple things in there. So number one, so that the app is visible from Google Apps. That's under discussions, unless you want to touch on that. Yeah. I probably can't share too much of that, but yeah, we can definitely understand, where you're coming from with that. Now, whitelisting apps so users don't have to provide permissions on the first run. So this gets into the whole aspect of when you run or deploy an app and it's being run by the end user as opposed to the developer. And there's different ramifications for what types of authorizations or permission steps that they go through. As it is today, we recommend from a security standpoint that you definitely publish your apps as an end user, but with the understanding that the end user will be, at least on a first run, they have to go through additional steps. What I can say, although, and this can be a little bit tedious, especially if people are not expecting it, what I can say is that there is work being underway right now to consolidate some of the extra permissions that you get and hopefully simplify it so it's a little bit more streamlined. But I don't believe, at least in the short term, there's any kind of cure to kind of alleviate or have a whitelist solution just yet. Does that sound good?
Actually, it's kind of connected to the this app launcher or Google Apps, and it's in discussion as well. So it's kind of connected work, and we're looking into it right now, but there's no any decisions to share yet.
Okay, cool. So just so you know, we can see all the questions here as well, James. So we can probably jump right into a few more. I don't know, what do you think, Basil? API available, so we can integrate with AppMaker from the outside. You can definitely integrate with services outside, but the direction of going from the outside and talking to an AppMaker within a domain is not necessarily available just yet. Yeah, I can't think of a way necessarily that you would do that right now.
Yeah, we're not. We don't have it in short-term plans.
Yeah. Okay, definitely you got some good questions coming in. Publish apps so you outside the domain can use them. That's not in the short term, but we'll see down the road if that's definitely a fairly popular question. So people want to cross-domain sharing, and we're definitely well aware of it. It's not so much as a pure technical issue. It's more of kind of just how AppMaker is being brought into the market via kind of like these specific SKUs and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely keep that question alive, because I think it makes sense as well in long term. A good question about templates. Can we create our own templates? Let's see. In general, yes, I guess you can always create your apps and share them via third-party marketplace systems, such as what James had mentioned. But getting in, I guess, in the specifics, create our own templates for rows in the list panel that will expand and shrink based on the size of the data. So that's specifically speaking about the list panel behavior. I think the answer is yes, right? Yes. I mean, you can just use the list panel and yeah. What's that? Oh, fit to content.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely experiment a little bit more with just using the list panel, and then you can.
You need to set the layout type to vertical, I think, or horizontal, and then it should the option fit to content should appear. Most likely, out of the box, it's a fixed layout, and so you cannot set it to fix the content.
Okay.
So you need to play with layout, and it should work.
And feel free to let us know on the forum if something doesn't quite look right. You can always ask on the forum, or even Stack Overflow as well, if we get further detail. Oh, I should mention in general, just keep in mind, we have the forum generally as kind of a community, conversation stuff, but Stack Overflow tends to be a little bit more kind of like a little bit more like a place you go to for specific technical questions, where our folks can chime in and provide a very precise technical answer. So again, it's Stack Overflow. You look for the app maker as the term there to search for.
Yes, also we have issue tracker, and
yes.
Lots of people use Stack Overflow and Google Groups to post their bugs. So it's not the right place to go with. So if you have some problems and you see that it's a real problem, so feel free to file a ticket with issue tracker. You can find link to issue tracker on the left side menu in editor.
And that's what I'm showing here on the left side menu. From within AppMaker, these are all linked directly. So the questions, that goes directly to Stack Overflow. And there's Stack Overflow. Hopefully you can see that. And then likewise, but you get the idea. Basically, the questions go to Stack Overflow. Forum is for a community forum, and then the report a problem is the one that goes to the issue tracker, I believe. So you can always just let us know in very, very precise detail. And the feedback is going where again?
Feedback is just quick feedback.
Oh, that's the product feedback. Yes, exactly. You can do screenshots. So this is also very useful if you see any kind of UI issues that you could definitely share with us. Cool. Any other final Q&A stuff that
a couple more. There was one question about any plans to make exporting a single page, a page fragment, to import into another app.
Yep. Yep. That one's coming.
Yeah, this is coming soon.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been worked on. So yeah, it's getting the final details nailed down on it. But yeah, no, it's definitely a requested feature. So looking forward to it. And
there was a follow-up to an earlier question asking about an API that would specifically allow you to, I'm assuming, get data out of AppMaker. Right.
I think, like, set up your own RESTful service from an application. You can do it within a domain to some degree, but there's some kind of caveats to that. Essentially, you could override the do get or do post methods on the application entirely, and then your AppMaker app becomes essentially like a service at that point. That's very hacky though, and so there isn't like a built-in way. And again, this is purely within the domain. Which I think the intent of the question was probably like in a broader manner, but that gets to the issue of like sharing your apps with folks outside of your domain. Does that sound right?
One thing we've been doing quite a bit of lately is integrating AppMaker apps with other services. So because we've been using Cloud SQL from the beginning pretty much, and now with migration being towards Cloud SQL, we do things like connect Data Studio to the same SQL instance, and then we're able to create really sophisticated reports and then just embed those reports in an HTML widget in AppMaker, so you can view the reports and see that kind of stuff happening with the live data.
Oh yeah, that actually came up. I was talking with one of the guys from the Data Studio team, and we were discussing ways to integrate the two. And so that's really cool to hear that you've actually done that. So we were kind of double checking to make sure that was okay on our side as well. So awesome.
That'd be cool. And then of course, because it's on Cloud SQL, you can access the data from anything that will connect to that, which is just about everything. We do a lot of connecting app scripts to Cloud SQL, so you can do things with that data, or even get input from sources outside of AppMaker. So if you have just a standard Google form, you can write a little bit of code and connect to Cloud SQL and write that into the same database that's using AppMaker. So there's a lot of different ways to work with the data. Just because AppMaker is not necessarily publicly available outside of your domain doesn't mean that necessarily limits you. It's just you have to do a few extra things to get that data flow.
So I also noticed a question about the people responding on issue tracker. Well, yeah, definitely we're working to get as many of those issues responded to, but it's definitely a fairly large task. But we're also ramping up specifically on the support side as well. Something that we had kind of only had kind of best of effort based off of the engineering team, and we're still working to continuously build that up. That was also one of the kind of requirements before going full GA as well. But yeah, we'll hopefully get there. Anything else we want to touch on? It looks like a few more things are popping in kind of the last minute. See something about the trigger loop for data brought in.
The way to get data in card.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing, like using a trigger to maybe fetch data and bring it into your data models. I actually have an app that does that. Working with triggers in AppMaker it's pretty straightforward, but you also have to take on the task of managing the triggers a little bit more manually, like via code. So there is a sample that's been in AppMaker for a long time, and it just kind of goes through the steps of how to work with triggers. So hopefully you've seen that. You can go to the docs site and you'll see the trigger sample. Just be careful because like whenever you start turning on triggers, say like send an email or whatever, they can sometimes a little bit hard to manage without the aided benefit of a UI. But that's something also that's discussed and being worked on. So yeah, with regards to Cloud SQL Drive tables, what I can say is that moving forward into the future, you won't be able to create new applications on Drive tables. So Cloud SQL will be like essentially the default and recommended database. You can connect to other databases via JDBC through AppScript, but that's still kind of like a little bit more from a scripting-centric standpoint. And then any other things? Was there a question, Francisco? What was that question again?
Should scroll.
Yeah, let's see.
So it's possible to do now with manual save mode.
Oh, okay.
So with manual save mode, you can create any number of kind of draft items. The only downside of this is that you cannot create relation between those draft items on the client side. But yeah, it's absolutely doable right now.
Okay, so hopefully you could hear that. But yeah, feel free to, you can always ask questions in the forum or Stack Overflow for a little bit more details on that. Cool. Well, I think we're kind of getting to the end of the hour. Apologies for any little technical glitches with the live stream and the Hangouts, but we're all, working our best to make sure that the technology works for you. Hopefully, you guys will continue to have success with AppMaker. And yeah, like I said, feel free to ask any follow-ups on the forum. Anything else from a partner perspective? Nope, I guess we're okay.
Are you kicking it back?
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
no. Very quickly.
Yeah, Chris, one thing I just wanted to mention, AppMaker is an amazing product. And I think one of the most amazing things that I tell everybody about when I talk about AppMaker is that it's also a very open platform. So a lot of the stuff and a lot of the questions that we do see here is like, well, I don't see that in AppMaker, but it's still possible to do things. Like if you're wanting to say refresh the screen, you can just use the standard JavaScript, to refresh your screen and refresh that data. So there's, so far after working with over almost 2 years on projects here, we haven't really run into anything that we couldn't accomplish with AppMaker.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot for the platform. It's just, it is.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just like saying thanks for bringing that up. And a lot of people don't necessarily assume that you can just use very common JavaScript programming, use CSS. So people who already have some familiarity with that, they'll be able to take and leverage that knowledge already within AppMaker. So you're not necessarily in a purely proprietary environment. You have quite a bit of flexibility in that regards with modern web technologies. Cool. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But again, thanks for everyone who managed to stick with us on the live stream. And again, apologies for some of the live stream hiccups. But yeah, I think hopefully this was a successful office hours for everyone. So we'll go ahead and call it a wrap. And thanks again to our AppMaker folks here in the room, Vasil and Pavel and Colin and Sergey, as well as thanks to our partners, James, as well as Oh, I forgot. Feel free to chime in for Amplified IT as well.
Andrew, Andrew.
Oh, Andrew, sorry about that. Okay, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and close off our connection here, but thanks again.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thanks.